You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Good morning. So glad you're here. Life is sweet here at Flo's Focus. Pull up a chair. The coffee's perked, so go ahead, pour yourself a cup. Let's have some fun and see what we can find to explore today. So, you're in this plane and you've paid a good price seat. Maybe you're in first class, maybe you're not. But at any rate, you're settled in and everything seems to be going okay until loud boom or maybe bang. At any rate, it's a very loud noise. And right after it, the plane starts shaking. That's bad enough. Then the pilot comes on. He says, "Everyone, please pray." Wow, are you shaking as hard as that plane is right now? Oh my goodness. And this actually happened. This is not a joke. The pilot begs the passengers to pray. This was on a trip on the Air Asia. I guess it's going from Perth, Australia to Malaysia. And the pilot's, he must have been really frightened, but he did land the plane safely. One passenger posted to Instagram, "I thought I might die." And this passenger posted along with the message a video of the incident. The plane was an Airbus A330. It made a about face and it returned to Perth without any other problems. So, of course, these are all under investigation, and the pilot was applauded for his efforts in getting it back safely. So what do you think? Would you be applauding the pilot? It's good, I suppose, to ask for prayer whenever you're not sure, but what would that do to a passenger's confidence? Oh my, I think it would be frightening to me. But then maybe seasoned flyers, or what do they call them? Frequent flyers, that's it. Maybe they would be just fine with that type of activity. Personally, I'd say I have to think if I want to fly again. And I have flown a lot of times. I know I've shared in the past on my program that one time when I flew, I was in Alaska and we're going to a fair. It wasn't a regular fair, it was a health fair, and I was helping as a nurse. So we made it in, but it was pretty shaky because at the end there was a lot of snow. Well, the pilot hadn't said anything to anyone, but I learned from him that he was not real sure and he strictly landed that plane by memory. That's a good pilot. And that pilot didn't get any applauses, but he deserved it. Also, one time when I was in Kansas, actually, it was a blizzard in Colorado, and I wanted to go to Kansas for Christmas, so I couldn't get there any other way except through bus. I probably shared this too, but at any rate, bus had to make a decision to either get a car or go in the ditch, and the driver took us into the ditch, but he almost got us up on the other side. Well, the wrecker came and the winch broke. Then we had a big wrecker come and he got us out of there. So then we were, just crawling on the road like a turtle. Doom, 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 doom. And next thing we knew was we looked out and there was a highway patrolman stopping us. So everybody's wondering, the bus driver's out there a long time talking to him, and we're all curious as passengers as we watch all that snow come down again. So the bus driver comes back in and he says, "Well, folks, hate to tell you this, but they just told me that the road's been closed down and they've been looking for us because we need to get off the road. So we ended up staying in the church for a while. Not sure what church it was. I don't even know now what town it was, but at any rate, they were very good to us. They brought in ham and they did everything they could to make us comfortable. I always appreciated them and I meant to send a thank you to them, but now I can't even remember what town it was, so that's not likely to happen. The bus driver was fantastic and I was always grateful to him. You know, I have some issues with chronic pain, and I'm wondering how many of you have heard of Wolverine? Wolverine has some amazing mutant powers, and those are of self healing. Well, of course, the average human can't decide to self heal themselves, although that would be great if we could. Okay, so enters the Elect RX. This does is it seeks to develop miniature implants. And these implants monitor a person's physical condition and provide electric stimulus to any systems in need. Isn't that cool? So these devices are real tiny, so they can be implanted right at nerve endings with a needle, unlike today's more invasive technologies, making treatments much more targeted. Phenomenal. So these implants, they're thinking, could be used to treat painful chronic inflammatory conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, systemic inflammatory response syndrome, and I'm hoping maybe for long-term chronic back issues like mine. I would love to get rid of this pain and I would do just about anything to do it, but I've had issues since 2005. I know a lot of people are a lot worse off than me. I did hospice nursing for a while, so I'm well aware and I'm very grateful that I can do the things that I do. That's pretty cool. At least it could be a lot worse. Okay, and there's another superhero. Well, we call him the Flash. And the Flash, when you hear of the Flash, what do you think of? Somebody who's really quick. He can run lightning fast, just like a real life Flash. Okay, so there's this battery powered jetpack worn like a backpack, and it helped one speedy test subject shave 20 seconds off his mile time, which was already very impressive. I mean, this guy could run. He ran 5 minutes and 20 seconds in a mile, so that's pretty good. So this technology of being able to shave time off of running was developed as part of a DARPA program looking for specific ways to help soldiers move faster on the battlefield. And now researchers are trying to help athletes improve performance with this. This is the future of where the jetpack is going, a graduate student of engineering and robotics stated. So that's going to be very interesting. There's some really cool things going on now with superheroes kind of almost becoming real life people. So, these different powers, they're coming in very handy. Now, the superhero, the Invisible Woman. We've all heard of invisibility cloaks. You put one over you and nobody can see you. You are totally hidden. And so that's kind of cool. But in the event that you don't gain super abilities from a cosmic storm, they're as close as you can get to make objects faint. Older attempts at creating invisibility cloaks tried to make objects disappear by bending light around them, okay? Newer technologies, well, they've got a different idea. And their technology, called a metascreen, cancels out light waves bouncing off a cloaked object. So what that means is it only works in microwave light, not visible light, okay? Another reflects light off of an object as if it were a flat mirror, rendering the cloaked object invisible. So far, only very small objects have been successfully cloaked and not in real-world situations. But scientists are continuing to work on this, so it could be interesting. We might be able to make things go invisible at some point. That could come in handy. Can you think of times when it would come in handy? I can think of times, but I don't know if they're so just personal to me that they wouldn't make much sense to anybody else. Okay, so everyone's heard of X-ray vision. Remember when we were kids and there were those glasses and you could put them on and you had X-ray vision? Wow. So the man of steel, he can see through walls unless they're made of lead. Now, thanks to the work of scientists at the Mass Institute of Technology, humans can too, almost. They use shortwave radio signals to track movements through walls. And in an experiment, scientists were able to identify 15 people through walls with up to 90% accuracy, tracking their movements within less than an inch. Wow. So this system first gets the lay of the land and then tracks for changes, as in those made by moving humans. So we may have some X-ray vision one of these days. And of course, everyone loves the Hulk, the superhero. Yeah, the Hulk is pretty cool. Okay, so if you've ever dreamed about having your very own Hulk smash moment of super strength, be strong. A high-tech suit of armor just might make that dream happen. It's called the Tactical Assault Light Operator Suit, or TALIS. What it's going to do, it promises to provide superhuman strength. Wow. According to the U.S. Army, the robotic suit can also help humans carry greater loads, rendering them super strong. And believe me, those soldiers need that because they carry huge loads every day. Lots and lots of equipment is always carried with them. So that would be great. And in addition to improving strength, this suit can make its wearer bulletproof. So that's really going to help. What it does is it's made of fluids that can change from liquid to solid in seconds. Even the Hulk would say, that's just all right. Who's heard of the Nightcrawler? Humph! Scientists have been able to make particles teleport just like Nightcrawler. Okay, so welcome to the weird world of teleportation. So researchers can't teleport matter across space. Magic of quantum entanglement, a process by which subatomic particles are linked. They can communicate instantly, even when separated at great distances. They beam information from one place to another. So far, scientists have been able to teleport particles between distances of up to 90 miles. So we're getting closer and closer to quantum internet. Quantum internet, what would that do for us? Well, we'd be able to establish communication channels that are more secure, and it would come in really handy when you want to make sure that your um, material is safeguarded. Right, Hillary? Oops, 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 oops. Okay, and Martin Stevens, a quantum optics researcher at the National Institute of Standards and Technology in Boulder, Colorado, is really working and hoping that this will happen in the very near future. Let's see what else is happening with these possible superheroes might have in real life. Oh, of course, we can't forget the Spider-Man, right? And what does he do? He walks on walls. He has no trouble doing what? Scaling skyscrapers, of course. Well, most of us humans can't do that kind of stuff until now. Okay. Inspired by the sticky feet of geckos, the Pentagon has developed handheld paddles that allow humans to climb walls, just like Spider-Man. Paddles were developed to allow soldiers to gain access to higher ground in urban environments. At the same time, researchers at Standard created similar climbing paddles, so they used that gecko-inspired technology. I really think that is really something. There was one guy, Elliot Hawks, he said, I was a climber in the test, mechanical engineer at Stanford, he is. That was extremely exciting to be able to climb glass, felt a little bit magical. It feels like you're hooking this device onto a perfectly flat, smooth surface, and it doesn't feel possible. It is. That's something. So, what do we know about Jean Grey-inners? Who knows Jean Grey? You guys are a lot smarter than me. Okay, researchers at the University of Minnesota have created a brain-computer interface that that users channel mutant Jean Grey and her ability to move objects with her mind. Making a lot of developments in the later years. Okay, the system allows users to fly a remote control quadcopter with their thoughts. Users wear a cap with attached electrodes. Electrodes pick up electrical signals from the brain. They transmit them to a computer, which then translates them into movement. Wow. I guess that student volunteers first spent time to move a virtual aircraft across a simulated model of the University of Minnesota campus using their thoughts, and then they tried flying the quadcopter through an obstacle course. I'd say that's pretty mind-blowing. Who knows Aquaman and water breathing? This is too good to be true. They claim that these artificial gills that they have created, which is called Triton, could let humans breathe underwater for up to 45 minutes at depths of up to 15 feet. Wow. Without the bulky equipment needed for scuba diving, like an air tank. But of course, scientists were skeptical, and it's a good thing we have skeptical scientists. The device wouldn't be able to function unless swimmers were traveling at superhuman speeds and would still require a sizable tank. Well, it was a good idea. Okay, so we just have to see what happens. Still looks like would-be Aquaman are those scuba tanks. Doggone it. It's pretty interesting with all those superpowers that are coming across that we're really going to be able to use, though. Wow. There's a new movie coming out, and remember, you heard it here first. It won't be out until October, but it sounds like it will be phenomenal. Hold on, I'll play that clip for you. It's very interesting to me. It's called Thanks for Your Service, and I think it's going to be a winner. See if we can get this one up for you.
2 Army Commendation Medals. An Army Achievement Medal.
Hang on, Emery, I got you.
Impressive.
You never told me about those.
Is there a specific incident that troubles you?
This film is about 4 guys who served in Iraq and what it's like to try to fit back into society.
You kick some ass over there?
Yeah, man.
Coming back home, you can't even find a job.
I just want to get back to my unit.
You feel more at home out at war next to your brothers.
I don't belong here. You trust me? I got you.
By untangling these characters, we can understand the lives of these soldiers and the reality of what they went through.
My boy here fought his ass off.
Yeah.
All right? He did his job. Now do yours. Jason wrote American Sniper, which was a very poignant film. He's so well-versed in this world, and you can just tell that the guy's done his homework.
The fact that we have real people that went through this adds a weight and an importance to the work that we're doing, that we get it right.
Don't even feel like me anymore. It's the best research any actor can get, to just be surrounded by the people you're playing.
Solo, Amanda, Adam, they have been so generous in the way that they have shared their stories.
That's the heart of this thing. These actors are tapped in, and they're tapped into each other. We can create something beautiful.
There are hundreds of thousands of veterans seeking help.
Sometimes movies can be used as a platform to where you can put some real things out there.
We're presenting something that is very honest, and we're putting it right in the front and center.
I know this don't look like much of a life, but every morning I get up, I'm grateful. I'm alive because of you.
And I hope that it will be the catalyst that slings this issue to the forefront of America. There is a light at the end of that tunnel because we're all in it together.
Thank you for looking after my son over there.
He's my brother. We look after each other.
And that's the way it is. They live for each other. Their comrades are their family. Hey, I have some trivia questions for you. Give you the questions now, and I'll give you the answers later. But if you know the answers, whoever gets the most answers right and sends them to me, I'll make sure that you get something special in the mail. I'm not going to tell you what yet, but I'll make sure it's something special. So I'll give the answers next week, so you have time to think about these, and I'll read the question slowly. First, what marked the first time since the Revolution that the U.S. accepted direct financial aid to fight a war? Again, the question. Again, what marked the first time since the Revolution that the U.S. accepted direct financial aid to fight a war? Next question. What U.S. military base was won in the last major battle against Japan? Again, what U.S. military base was won in the last major battle against Japan? And if you want, you can number these and just send in your answers to me. I'll give you the contact information in just a bit here. Okay, so what marked the first time? This is number one. Number one, what marked the first time since the Revolution that the U.S. accepted direct financial aid to fight a war? Two is what U.S. military base was won in the last major battle against Japan? Number three, what opportunistic country declared war on Japan 5 days before its surrender in 1945? Again, this is number three. What opportunistic country declared war on Japan 5 days before its surrender in 1945? 4. What U.S. war broke out the same year the federal government first printed paper money? Again, that was question 4. What U.S. war broke out the same year the federal government first printed paper money? Number 5. What country did ever prudent King Farouk I declare war on in 1945? And number 5. What country did ever prudent King Farouk I declare war on in 1945? Number 6. What Bill Murray Ghostbusters term did Persian Gulf warriors use to describe being hit by chemical weapons? Again, the last question. What Bill Murray Ghostbusters term did Persian Gulf warriors use to describe being hit by chemical weapons? Okay, send those in to me. I will give you the information in just a bit here. And whoever gets the most right will get a prize from me. In the case there's more than one that gets it right, we'll do a drawing. So do send them in to me. Now, who knows how to contact me? You know? Well, that's easy. All you have to do is, what do you have to do? Do you remember? Okay, we'll make this simple. Hold on. From you is better than a hot fudge sundae or lots and lots of candy or just about anything. I just love to hear from you because you're so important to me. So, how you contact me, do you know? Do you remember? This is how. Now, write it down, please, because this is how you contact. And I want to hear from you. And that is Flo at KLRNRadio.com. There is no space between KLRN and radio. So contact me at Flo at KLRNRadio.com. And that's FLO at KLRNRadio.com. And you can Find me at Twitter, and all you have to do is tweet Flobo. Remember that. I'm Flobo on Twitter, and I'm Flo at KLRNRadio.com, and I want to hear from you. There's a great program out there. It's called Veterans Matter, and they had a milestone. I think it's just really great. You articles about this that are out, and most of them are dated June 26th or very close to there this year. So this veterans program in the U.S. Department Veterans Affairs provides security deposit to homeless veterans in 14 states and the District of Columbia. And they announced that they have helped 1,500 veterans exit homelessness and move into permanent housing. And all they do is provide the security deposit. I think that is just phenomenal. Veterans who qualify for rental subsidies from the joint U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, VA Supportive Housing, HUD-VASH program, are the ones that these programs focus exclusively on. VA can't end veteran homelessness alone, said Anthony Love, Senior Advisor and Director of Community Engagement for HA Homeless Programs Office. I just love the idea that there are less and less veterans that are on the street now, and they're coming up with programs like this to help out. Based on data released by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in 2016, since 2010, there has been an estimated 47% reduction in homelessness among veterans across the country. And then HUD said between 2015 and 2016 alone, the number of homeless veterans decreased again by 17%. So we're making a difference for our veterans. Veterans that are in the HUD-VASH program remain housed, 91%. The program has allocated more than 88,000 housing vouchers nationwide to date. There's all kinds of things you can hear out there. Speaking of hearing, but did you know that coconut oil, you've heard it, all these wonderful things that it could do for so long. But according to many heart doctors, coconut oil has more bad fat than beef and butter. Many U.S. adults are taking too much vitamin D. Well, why do you take vitamin D? Because it helps calcium. And a lot of our women have problems like osteoporosis, and vitamin D can help that particular issue. So that's why I take it. It's time to get the checkbook out again.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes. An album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
There are some popular heart medications that are linked to gradual yet silent kidney damage. So that's something you need to watch out for. If you're on proton pump inhibitors for heartburn periods, this has been linked to serious kidney problems, including kidney failure, according to Kidney International. In many cases, the sudden onset of kidney problems serves as a red flag for doctors to discontinue their patients' use of these. Some of the brand names are Prevacid, Prilosec, Nexum, and Protonix, among others. So if you're on those, if you're taking them, be careful. Watch your kidneys carefully. It indicates through the study evaluating the use of these that more than half of the patients who are on them develop chronic kidney damage, but they don't experience acute kidney problems beforehand, meaning patients may not be aware of a decline in kidney function. People who take PPIs and their doctors should be very vigilant in monitoring the use of these medications. As I said, watch your kidneys carefully, even though there's not really often a way to know ahead of time. If you do notice anything, it can really make a difference. The onset of acute kidney problems is also not a reliable warning sign for clinicians to detect a decline in kidney function among the people that are taking these proton pump inhibitors. Patients should be cautioned to tell their doctors if they're taking PPIs and only use the drugs when necessary. Data shows that more than 15 million Americans suffering from heartburn, ulcers, and acid reflux have prescriptions for these PPIs, which bring relief by reducing the gastric acid. Many millions more purchase the drugs over the counter, and they take them even without their doctors knowing or being under a doctor's care. Dr. It's spelled AL-ALY, and colleagues, including first author Yan Xie, analyzed data from the Department of Veterans Affairs databases on 125,596 new users of the PPIs and 18,436 new users of antagonist H2 blockers. The latter are much less likely to cause kidney problems, but often aren't as effective. So after 5 years of follow-up, the researchers 80% of the PPI users did not develop acute kidney problems, which often are reversible, and characterized by too little urine leaving the body, fatigue, and swelling in the legs and ankles. However, more than half of the cases of chronic kidney damage and end-stage renal disease associated with PPI use occurred in people without acute kidney problems. So then the H2 blockers, only 7.6 developed chronic kidney disease in the absence of acute kidney problems, and 1.27 developed end-stage renal disease. So end-stage renal disease occurs when the kidneys can no longer remove the waste from the body. So then they do dialysis or kidney transplant to keep the patients alive. And doctors must pay careful attention to kidney function in the patients who use PPIs, even when there's no signs of problems. Who is the VA's Associate Chief of Staff for Research and Education and co-director of the VA's Clinical Epidemiology Center, said, in general, we always advise clinicians to evaluate whether PPI use is medically necessary in the first place because the drugs carry significant risk, including a deterioration of kidney function, as in often it happens without intervening acute kidney injury. Let's take a little closer look at what's going on with the vitamin D overdose too. Kind of interesting. It says many U.S. adults taking too much vitamin D. This is from Reuters, and it says there was a study that was done. The researchers examined nationally representative survey data collected for 39,243 adults from 1999 to 2014 to see how many people were taking more vitamin D than what was recommended. And also to see how many were taking the maximum recommended amount. So the people that were taking the daily recommended amount overall was surging from just 0.3 in the first survey in 1999 to 18% in the last survey in 2013-14. Researchers reported in JAMA Online June 20th. For that same period, the proportion of adults taking the maximum dose or more climbed from 0.1 to 3.2. Now, it's important to understand that vitamin D is essential for bone metabolism. What it does is it helps the body absorb calcium, and it maintains appropriate concentrations of calcium and phosphate in the blood. Understand it's why it's so essential. Okay, but if you take too much of vitamin D, it can be harmful because what it then does is it causes an overabsorption of calcium, and this overabsorption can in turn lead to negative places that it will be deposited, like in soft tissues such as the heart and kidneys. Speaking of the kidneys, so high doses of vitamin D were most common among women, the elderly, and white people, study found. Kind of interesting. Some studies suggest high doses may be associated with an elevated risk of prostate and pancreatic cancers and deaths from all causes. So it might be good to be careful with taking too much vitamin D. In fact, there's no might to it. It is good. Okay. People were asking to bring in their pill bottles to aid in accurate reporting. People consuming more than the daily amount are usually trying to boost the specific vitamin, especially for people who have, as I mentioned, osteoporosis and things to this issue. Just remember that generally younger or otherwise healthy people are less likely to have low vitamin D levels. And the best place to get vitamin D is through the sun, but you don't want to get too much vitamin D, as mentioned. You can also get vitamin D in milk cartons that are not cardboard. I remember in nursing school they said that the cardboard would break down the vitamin D because there's no light there. So if you want to drink milk that's healthy for you, make sure it's not in cardboard. And the studies that was done on vitamins suggest, of course, that more Americans are taking much more vitamin D than they should. Remember back when we were talking about the plane and how the pilot asked for prayer for the plane because I guess it was so shaky and he was shook up himself. Anyway, there's another interesting article regarding a lobster in a plane. Was Transportation Security Administration officials in Boston found a massive lobster alive. Passengers checked baggage. It was approximately 20-pound lobster, and there was no prohibition on transporting lobsters. I guess, according to the Boston Globe, it's actually fairly common in the New England region. Interesting. But a 20-pound one? Wow. So the TSA, which is the Transportation Security Administration website, states a live lobster is allowed through security and must be transported in a plastic spill-proof container. And the lobster in the passenger's cooler was unusually large, 20 pounds, I'd think so. The lobster was alive and evidently cooperated quite nicely with the screening process. Oh, and speaking of lobsters, Louis, the 132-year-old lobster, is released after 20 years. Wow. Can you imagine a 132-year-old lobster? Wonder how they know that. Well, he was released back into the sea. Well, this lobster was 22 pounds. It was at Peter's Clam Bar. Owner of the clam bar said a customer came in asking to purchase Louis last week, but he refused to sell the lobster. He said had become kind of like a pet, and he was going to return the lobster its home. The owner said, Louis's been here about 20 years. He looks ready to go. The elderly lobster had been in the restaurant for more than a decade when the present owner purchased the establishment 4 years ago, and the fitting send-off as residents and town officials gathered to watch him to return to his. They had an official pardon for Louis the lobster. He no longer faced a buttery fate on a seafood lover's plate. Louis instead went to a life that is better down where it's wetter for. Experts said that Louis will likely survive despite spending much of his life in captivity and having lost a claw due to a lack of natural predators. It's interesting. Well, I wish Louis the best of luck. The ocean is so beautiful. I envy him for getting to go live in the ocean. I wish I could go just be near it sometimes. Beach day. And speaking of beach day, we have to be careful because, yes, we can get more vitamin D through the sun, but what else can we get through the sun? Here, it's called sunburns, and sunburns can happen with 15 minutes time, and it does not need to be sunny out to get a sunburn. Now, of course, if you're exposed to some type of very strong radiation or non-shielded welding arcs, something like that, you could get a sunburn in seconds. That's because of the ultraviolet light. Okay, well, this is kind of the synopsis of a sunburn. The skin's going to turn red in as little as 30 minutes, but it most often takes 2 to 6 hours. Pain is usually its worst in 6 to 48 hours after exposure, and the burn continues to develop for 1 to 3 days. Sometimes you'll get peeling skin in 3 to 8 days. You may have some peeling and itching, and that may continue for several weeks. Again, it's the ultraviolet radiation that causes sunburns, and it increases the risk of 3 types of skin cancer. Very important. This is why you want to protect yourself from the sun. The skin cancers are melanoma, basal cell carcinoma, and squamous cell carcinoma. Of greatest concern is that the melanoma risk increases in a dose-dependent manner with the number of a person's lifetime cumulative episodes of sunburns. Meaning, if you get burnt one time, it's not as likely that you're going to develop melanoma as if you've been burned many, many times. However many times you have been burned is how much you have a chance of developing melanoma. The cause of sunburn is the direct damage that ultraviolet light can induce. Go into all the medical reasons for sunburn. I don't think you really want to know those. You know enough to know that UV radiation causes sunburn, either from the sun or from artificial sources. Some of you may have been burnt by tanning lamps, and yes, you can get burnt very badly from tanning. Sunburn is a reaction of the body to direct DNA damage, the ultraviolet light. Damage is recognized by the body, and then it triggers a lot of defense mechanisms, including DNA repair, to revert the damage. And peeling, what that does is it removes irreparably damaged skin cells, of course, and increase melanin production to prevent future damage. Melanin readily absorbs the ultraviolet wavelength light, acting as a photoprotectant by preventing UV. Well, I'm not going to get into all that. That's a little bit complicated. You don't need to know all that. But sunburn causes an inflammation process, including production of things that increase sensitivity to heat by reducing the threshold of the heat receptor. The pain may be caused by a overproduction of a protein which activates nerve fibers. Skin type determines people with lighter skin tone have a greater risk of sunburn. That's not always true, though. My husband and I are both very light. My husband burns very easily for years, including going to Dominica and many other places. I could go and I don't burn. My family, though, tends to be darker than me. I'm the lightest one. Even my parents were darker than me. So I think that could make a huge difference. I do have a small amount of American blood lineage in me, so that may also make a difference. So I really don't burn very badly, even though I may turn red the first time, which I did when we went to Minnesota. I did not peel. I did not have any complications of pain. I was just fine. But I do have to be careful not to get sunburned because I don't want to take chances of getting melanoma. My husband, on the other hand, his family was Swedish, and he is 100% Swedish, and he burns extremely extremely easily. He has to stay in the shade when we go outside and be very careful to use suntan lotion. I try to use suntan lotion, but I don't always do the best that I really should. I'm aware of that. But, well, I think it's especially important now because I was never all, as I said, I was never apt to get sunburn. But since I've been on medications, and medications can do this, the risk of a sunburn can be increased by medications that make us more sensitive to ultraviolet radiation. That medications that will do this include certain antibiotics, oral contraceptives, and tranquilizers can have this effect as well. And of course, contributing factors to getting a sunburn include the time of day. In most locations, winter the sun's rays the strongest, about 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. daylight saving time. That's when they're the strongest. Cloud cover. Ultraviolet is partially blocked by clouds. Even on an overcast day, you can easily get a sunburn. Proximity to reflective surfaces such as water, sand, anything that reflects, concrete, snow, ice, all of those reflect the sun's rays and they can cause sunburns. End of the year, the position of the sun in late spring and early summer can cause a more severe sunburn. And of course, your altitude. At your altitude, what happens? Well, it's easier to become burnt because there is less of the Earth's atmosphere to block out the sunlight. Skin and eyes are most sensitive to damage. So, of course, we have to be very careful to protect them. We know about ozone depletion. In recent decades, the incidence and severity of sunburn has increased worldwide, partly because of chemical damage to the atmosphere's ozone layer. Between the 1970s and the 2000s, average stratospheric ozone decreased by approximately 4%. What that means is it's giving a 4% increase to the average ultraviolet intensity. Thus, you are much more apt to get sunburned, especially in the southern hemisphere. Suntans, which naturally develop in some individuals as a protective mechanism against the sun, are viewed by most in the Western world as desirable, led to an overall increase in exposure to ultraviolet radiation from both natural sun and tanning lamps. Suntans can provide a modest sun protection factor, meaning that a tan skin would tolerate up to 3 times the ultraviolet exposure as pale skin would. And sunburn effect. Well, we know how painful it is. It can be a factor that causes cancer. And of course, the most effective way to prevent sunburn is what? Well, of course, to reduce the amount of ultraviolet radiation reaching the skin. Strength of sunlight is published in many locations as an ultraviolet index. I'm sure you've seen, especially on sunglasses. The World Health Organization recommends to limit time in midday summer sun between 10 to 4 to watch the ultraviolet index, to seek shade, to wear protective clothing, preferably white or light, including a wide brim hat, and use sunscreen. Sunlight is generally strongest when the sun is close to the highest point in the sky. Due to time zones and daylight saving times, this is not necessarily noon, but often 1 or 2 hours later. And of course, we know that there's products out there that block the ultraviolet light, known as sunscreens or sunblocks even. And they have a sun protection factor rating based on the sunblock's ability to suppress sunburn. The higher the SPV rating, the lower the amount of direct DNA damage. Stated protection factors are correct only if 2 ULs of sunscreen is applied per square centimeter of exposed skin. So what that means is use an ounce to cover the whole body of an adult male, which is much more than many people use in practice. And broad spectrum sunscreens contain filters that protect against UVA radiation as well as UVB. Although UVA radiation does not primarily cause sunburn, it does contribute to skin aging and an increased risk of skin cancer. Research has shown that the best sunscreen protection is achieved by application 15 to 30 minutes before exposure, followed by one reapplication 15 to 30 minutes after exposure begins. Further reapplication is necessary only after activities such as swimming, sweating, and rubbing. This varies based on the indications and protections shown on the label, from as little as 80 minutes in water to a few hours, depending on the product selected. So we know that sunscreen is effective and recommended for preventing melanoma and squamous cell carcinoma. There isn't very much evidence that it is effective in preventing basal cell carcinoma. Other advice to reduce rates of skin cancer includes avoid sunburning, wear protective clothing, sunglasses, and hats, and attempting to avoid sun exposure or periods of peak exposure. U.S. Preventive Services Task Force recommends that people between 9 and 25 years of age be advised to avoid ultralight. Typical use of sunscreen does not usually result in vitamin D deficiency, but extensive usage could. When one is exposed to any artificial source of occupational UV, special protective clothing like welding helmets and shields should be worn. Such sources like welding can produce UVC, an extremely carcinogenic, meaning cancer-causing, wavelength of ultraviolet, which ordinarily is not present in normal sunlight, having been filtered out by the atmosphere. And we know the eyes are very sensitive to sun exposure, so be careful with that. Snow blindness is essentially sunburn of the cornea, and I have had that before. Wraparound sunglasses or the use of spectacle wearers of glasses that block UV light reduce the radiation. UV light has been implicated in the development of age-related macular degeneration and cataract. Concentrated clusters of melanin, commonly known as freckles, are often found within the iris. Dietary factors influence susceptibility to sunburn, recovery from sunburn, and risk of secondary complications from sunburn. You know, you can't say enough about diet. We are what we eat, they say. Several dietary antioxidants, including essential vitamins, have been shown to have some effectiveness for protecting against sunburn and skin damage associated with ultraviolet radiation in both human and animal studies. So, supplement with vitamin C and vitamin E was shown in one study to reduce the amount of sunburn after a controlled amount of UV exposure. Vitamin A supplementation had a protective effect against sunburn, but that the effects were only evident in the long term, with studies of supplementation for periods less than 10 weeks in duration failing to show any effects. Also evidence that common foods may have some protective ability against sunburn if taken for a period before the exposure. Now, let's say you've got that awful red sunburn, and what do you want to do? You want to treat it so you don't feel so bad. Best treatment for sunburn, unfortunately, though, is time. Most sunburns heal completely within a few weeks. Sometimes they'll advise that you take non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen that you can buy or naproxen. Aspirin may decrease redness and pain if you can take aspirin safely. Local anesthetics such as benzocaine are contraindicated. Topical steroids such as hydrocortisone cream do not help with sunburns, although the American Academy of Dermatology says they can be used on especially sore areas. Lidocaine cream is often used, but there's little evidence Home treatments may help the discomfort, including using cool and wet cloths on the sunburned areas. Applying soothing lotions that contain aloe vera to the sunburned areas was supported by one review. Others have found aloe vera to have no effect, no ability to protect people from sunburns. Another moisturizer that contains soy. They take it. It's time to get the checkbook out again.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Okay, well, let's say we're near that sun, and we want to be near that sun because we want to be camping. Well, we know there's nothing quite like spending an evening away from home at one of America's thousands of public land recreational area campsites. You might want to seek solitude, or you might want to be in the back country. But at any rate, you can find a convenient place for your family to pitch a tent or park an RV. There's lots of room in our parks, national seashores, lake shores, forest, and wilderness areas. You just can go camping easily in the summertime. You have campsite fees, visitation fees, and seasonal restrictions vary from site to site. In some cases, campsites can be reserved in advance. For detailed information on a particular location, the best thing to do is to contact that recreation site directly. And if you have a computer, generally you can look it up on computer and find out how that they want you to contact them, and you will be able to do so. Camping in developed sites, resorts, cabins, primitive camping, backpacking, overnight camping, modern camping, and camping in yurts, teepees, and tents are all good ways to go camping. Of course, we always want to practice good stewardship of all of our lands. And you want to make sure that you take care of these lands while camping by not littering. Take along a trash bag or some type of receptacle. Lots of the sites will provide trash receptacles for you, but if you don't, it's good to have those along with you, some type of sack. Make sure you're using the correct type of camping equipment permitted in that area, especially your fires. Check with destination ahead of time for seasonal fire or camp stove restrictions that may be in place. Of course, don't camp in areas where you're not permitted. These areas have been declared off limits to campers for many reasons, including to protect wildlife, vegetation, or for your safety. Mentioning safety, while you're camping, you want to stay safe. So check with your local park, forest, or public land agents to see what precautions need to be taken in regard to storing food away from wildlife. Don't feed the local wildlife for many reasons. Take precautions against camping in an area that may be dangerous in the case of sudden flash floods. In fact, when I was a kid, we used to camp in Bennett Springs a lot, and now they closed that down because they said there were too many floods there. So I think that was a wise decision, though I miss being able to camp there. Check with local rangers to find a safe and legal camping area. Remember to take along non-perishable food that won't make you ill if it spoils. Of course, always be courteous. Remember that you are sharing public land with other campers and recreationists. Again, on unauthorized areas. Do bring extra safety items such as water, flashlights, maps, and a cell phone or a radio. There's a lot of neat places to go to that camp out, and the National Park Service has this really great travel itinerary series that features historic destinations throughout the nation to visit in person or also online, or to help you plan your next trip. It's really very interesting. Each itinerary is a self-guided tour to historic places, most of which are listed in the National Register of Historic Places. spotlighting different communities, geographic regions, and themes across the country. The travel itineraries include a rich variety of places significant in American history, architecture, engineering, and culture. And many of these destinations are very interesting to look up and read about. Of course, this is some of the few that you can look up. Destination Arizona, it's called Atlanta, Arizona. The Grand Canyon State is one of the most popular vacation destinations in the world. Beyond the iconic Grand Canyon, experiences await you in every direction and in every corner of the state. And I can tell you, having seen the Grand Canyon myself, if you haven't seen it, make sure you make a point to see it. This summer might be a good time to do that. Destination Atlanta. Atlanta is blessed with a mild climate, the Blue Ridge Mountains, and a robust cultural history. Gateway to a wealth of recreation opportunities. Atlanta is the top cultural center of the Southeast, and it attracts more than 17 million travelers each year. And there's another Atlanta trip that's called Atlanta and Beyond, a peach of a trip. Chattahoochee National Forest. Each landscape is rich with recreation opportunities, history, and spectacular scenery. Known as the Peach State for its long-standing tradition for producing the juicy fruit, Georgia is also well known for its pristine streams and rivers, lush forests, winding trails and waterfalls, and beautiful lakes offer inviting destinations for all. Enjoy the southern hospitality of Atlanta. That's a place you can go. And then Destination Chicago. Chicago boasts acclaimed restaurants, abundant shopping, historic sites, and attracts visitors from around the world. Beyond the Magnificent Mile, River North, the Navy Pier, Lincoln Park Zoo, Millennium Park, and all that the city has to offer. You can enjoy a variety of outdoor destinations in as little as 1 hour from the Windy City. And Illinois Route 66 road trip from Chicago. When you are ready to embark on a road trip along the famous historic Route 66 through Illinois, you may be surprised at the scenic adventures and historic attractions that await you in this beautiful state. Colorado, the one we'll be taking a closer look at. We'll have to take a look at this destination as well. Colorado travelers know Denver as the first trip to the Colorado Rocky Mountains, and a great place for all things outdoors. Colorado is also home to a fascinating history, bygone mining towns and colorful characters such as Chief Ore, Buffalo Bill, and Molly Brown. Then you can look up road tripping in northwest Colorado. This road trip from Denver to Steamboat Springs spans the range from cityscapes to rugged mountains to beautiful lakes across northwest Colorado. Scenery will astound you. The opportunity for adventure will really excite you, and the serene lakes will enchant you. Colorado is a beautiful place to take a vacation, especially if you have some time and you can see a lot of the state. When I lived in Colorado, I was always playing tour guide, and I enjoyed it. I got to see a lot of the state and learn a lot about it. Destination Las Vegas. Joshua Tree is there. It's well known that Las Vegas is one of the world's entertainment meccas. Some call it the land of sin. Is that right? I think, or the city of sin, I believe. It's also the gateway to stunningly beautiful public lands, including the world's largest canyon, the lowest and hottest spot in the United States, the largest national wildlife refuge and national forest in the lower 48 states. Destination Dallas, Fort Worth. Well, they say everything is bigger in Texas, and that includes Texas's top visitor and leisure destination. Whether you crave world-class food and arts or the Wild West, you'll find it all in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And of course, everyone loves Hawaii. Destination Hawaii. The Hawaii Islands are a wondrous destination with many places to explore. Hawaiian landscape includes hundreds of islands spread across the Pacific Ocean with 8 main islands. 6 of these are well-known travel destinations. Los Angeles. There's a world of diverse landscapes, cultural riches, and quiet beauty in just a few hours' drive. Spend a morning in the city and escape for an afternoon into coastal environs or head into the solitude of a forest. Even sleep overnight in the cool mountain air. LA to San Francisco road trip. Best way to enjoy this road trip is to take your time and enjoy the views. From LA to San Francisco, there are many historic and coastal destinations to make this an adventure to remember. Miami excursions. Begin your trip in and around Miami's captivating communities, exploring quaint neighborhoods and trendy shopping districts. Venture off to nearby Miami Beach on Barrier Islands across the turquoise waters of Biscayne Bay and home to glamorous South Beach, famed for its colorful Art Deco buildings, surfside hotels, and trend-setting nightclubs. Beyond Miami, get to know the landscapes and wildlife unique to the area. Looking for peaceful settings without all the fanfare? Miami is a great starting point for adventures within a day's drive. New Orleans Roundabout. Steeped in history and rich in culture, New Orleans offers a diverse experience from the elegant French Quarter to outdoor adventure found in the southern swamps. Let us guide you through the city to learn about the Battle of New Orleans. Soak in the sweet sound of jazz and delight in authentic local cuisine. Next, we're off to the countryside. Destination, New York City. New York City is more than just a city, it's an experience. People travel to the Big Apple from all over the world to take in the sights and sounds that are as American as well. Apple pie. From memorials to museums, from parks to plaza, New York City has it all. And with over 47 million visitors a year, the world comes to see it. Best known sites in the city, and maybe be convinced to stay a few more days to enjoy some of the lesser known ones. New York City is a phenomenal place to visit. You'll walk forward, as they say, the city that doesn't sleep. Phoenix, a great western journey. Travel north from Phoenix, Arizona, step into the great Navajo Nation, and stretch just across the southern Utah border. The majesty and variety of these culture and scenic destinations will take your breath away. You will never forget this exploration of the West. Portland's Coast Range. Things to do and places to go and see near Portland's Coast Range include an eclectic city known for its excellent food and bike-friendly community. Portland, Oregon is surrounded by lush forest and bordered by the Pacific Ocean. Rich in history, Portland is a beacon for those interested in the area's Native American heritage and cultures. Everywhere you look, green is the color of your choice. There is forest, there is wetlands, there is vineyards, with a landscape of rivers, streams, and ocean, providing a haven for birds and supporting a diverse wildlife population. Welcome to Portland. San Francisco. Do you like those big whales? Well, here you watch them. Know that the people who call the San Francisco Bay Area home love it because it is so close to fascinating cultural, natural, historic, and recreational sites. Whichever way you go, the trip may start by the bay, but the discovery begins on America's public lands. Destination Seattle. Seattle, the Emerald City's mild, wet winters and warm, dry summers offer a wealth of recreation possibilities. Within a few hours' drive, Seattle's backyard is teeming with diverse landscapes and quiet beauty. Route Seattle West Road Trip. Experience the varied landscapes of Washington's Olympic Peninsula. West of Seattle is the dramatic Pacific coastline, punctuated by haystack rock formations, historic lighthouse, and an abundance of marine wildlife. Inland, the Pacific Northwest rainforest, waterfalls, and diverse populations of migratory birds offers an adventure around every turn. Finish the journey to the Northwest by discovering the natural and cultural history of the area's Native American tribes. I love Washington. It's a phenomenal state to visit. Destination Space Coast. The countdown is on. Not the usual countdown that frequents this Florida station, but the countdown of the many places to visit in the surrounding area, from the arts to the outdoors and even space travel. This region has it all, and the launch begins on Americans' public lands. Utah. Talked about Utah before. It is a great place to visit. Lots of fun. As you travel southwest from Salt Lake City along the I-15 corridor, the Utah landscape unfolds to reveal lush forests, sweeping vistas, brilliant red rock formations, all with recreation opportunities that beckon the adventure and scenic. Destination National Capital Region and Chesapeake Bay. MLK Memorial. Everyone is familiar with Washington, D.C. historical treasures. The Washington Monument, Capitol Building, and White House are all iconic images of not only the city, but the entire United States. However, that is far from the capital area. The capital area offers much to its visitors. Discover some of the surroundings that resides in America's public lands. Visit Washington, D.C. National Capital Region. Then Shenandoah National Park. You already know about the famous monuments and museums. You may not have heard about the cultural heritage, sprawling urban parks, and the many options for outdoor recreation in and around the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And you know what's fun? You can find all of this on recreation.gov. It will definitely tell you how to access these sites online, and you can't go to the individual sites. It's just most likely the next best thing. These sites that they have online, well, they can make you feel like you're there because it's just awesome. So check it out. I will be glad you did. Remember common sense things when you are out camping. You might want to remember that there could be big critters around like bears, or there could be little bitty critters around like ticks and chiggers and flies and that type thing that both you want protection from. So keep that in mind. And of course, you want protection from those ultraviolet rays. So you do want to have a good form of shelter, however you choose to set up your camping procedures. And if you have pets, you'll have to take extra precautions for them too, of course. So enjoy your camping, but think ahead of time so that you really do have fun. Remember, Smokey the Bear warns you not to have forest fires. The warning is high, do not burn. When you have any campfire, make sure you put it out totally, especially during the hot summer months. There's many a wildfire that starts from people not putting their fires out totally. When we camp up in Minnesota for the Vikings training camp that Rob loves to go to, wilderness camp, I can't tell you how many fires I come across that are still burning because people think they have put them out. It's a biggie to make sure that you do put them out. I talked today with a friend of mine who lives in Washington State and told me about the fire that's going on in Washington State. This one's evidently caused by lightning, but there's been many storms again caused by carelessness. People think that they have that, they really don't. Where my friend lives, there is over 6,000 acres burning. The Alcoa fire southeast of Wenatchee has burned about 500 acres. State firefighting mobilization was approved for fire in Chelan County that quickly grew to almost 4,400 acres. Washington Emergency Management said. As of mid-afternoon, fire crews were dispatched to 2 fires along the Malaga-Alcoa Highway and investigating another above Palisades roads. Crews are reporting active spread at the head of the wind-driven grass fire. 2 helicopters are being used to assist firefighters on the ground. Wildfires in central Washington again cover more than 6,000 acres. Last year, my friend said she had to leave her home. She hasn't been told that she has to yet, but if she does, she's ready. Level 2 means to prepare and be ready to leave at a moment's notice. The Spartan fire had reached 4,400 acres by last evening. It did prompt Level 2 evacuation notices to residents of Holcomb Road, Kingsbury, Moses, Carr Road, Inglesore Road, and Tarpaskin Road. The Alcoa fire southeast of Wenatchee has burned about 500 acres. This is a wind-driven grass fire. Firefighters will use existing roads, dozer lines, water drops, and natural features wherever possible to limit future fire spread in this area. Weather patterns this spring present a different wildfire problem than in years past. With structures at risk, Craig said officials made a decision to order a Type 3 incident management team. It's more likely we'll see more fires like this at low elevation because of heavy grass and brush, he said. Lund fire was originally 3 separate fires until the wind pull them all together. Sutherland Canyon fire caused almost 25 homes to Level 1 evacuation notices, which means residents should be ready for a potential evacuation. Several smaller grass fires were also burning in nearby Douglas County, Craig said. To the west, the fire is moving more slowly through grass and brush. Level 1 evacuations are in place from the Columbia River to milepost 10. My friend stated we had over 40,000 lightning strikes in the surrounding countries last night. Out my window looked like a fireworks show. Pretty spooky when these kind of fires occur. When it's nature, not much can be done, but take it. It's time to get the checkbook out again.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes. An album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
A lot. Let's get back to our discussion about fire. Really important topic in the summertime, especially. A big place that, of course, has fires is Arizona because of its heat. And so that's a big place where they really try to make sure that you get your fires out. The problem is not that people make fires. The problem is most people don't know much about building a fire, much less how to put one out. If you know how to make a fire, you're probably going to be very alert on how to put it out. Survivalist Cody London, after using a hand drill set composed of a seep, willow spindle, and a hearth made from yucca, blows to fuel his campfire in the Prescott National Forest. It says fire needs three things: ignition, fuel, and oxygen. That is referred to as the fire triangle. Assembling those things can be fairly simple for the average camper, but managing fuel is more complex and can be critical to how the fire behaves. Generally, whenever I start a fire, I don't even use much fuel, if any. I let my kindling do the job for me. Softwood like pine burns down to ash quicker, so does small wood. Hardwoods like oak and juniper make hotter coals and take longer to burn out. It's important to remember that by the time you leave a site, one way or another, those embers either need to be ash or cold to the touch. That's where I find that a lot of people make their mistakes with putting out their fires. They think they're out, they truly do. But when I've gone by their campsites, they're not out at all. The embers have caught fire again and they're going again. So I have managed to put them out, but I think it's an area that people really need to be aware of when they're out camping in the wilderness. Hot coals are great for cooking and for heat, but as the night wears on, you can still get plenty of heat and burn the embers down by adding smaller fuel. Ultimately, the easiest way to put out a fire is to stop adding wood. Think the fire's out. Even then, the process of putting the fire out is only beginning. When there's no flame, they truly think the fire's out, but it's not. Pile of embers, and all it needs is a stiff wind to become a fire again. Wind, which carries oxygen, pushes a human ignition source into surrounding fuel, reconnecting the fire triangle. Putting dirt on a fire doesn't really help much. When people do try to put out a fire, one of the most common things they do is put dirt on it. But dirt doesn't cut off the flow of oxygen, it slows it down. That means the coals will last even longer, which is why this is also known as banking the fire. Bank a fire, that means makes the hot embers last longer. They think that's good, and in fact, it's bad. Ultimately, the only way to tell if a fire is out is to put your hand over it. If it's hot, it's not out. And the only way you figure that it is out is put your hand over where you've had that fire. Pour water on it, stir, check again. How long the process takes is largely a combination of time, water, size of fuel, and kind of fuel. Those skills you use to manage a fire come in handy because the cooler the fire is, the easier it is to put out, which means it takes much less water. Sometimes water can be quite a obstacle to come across in wilderness camping. Another trick to use less water is make a mound out of the coals, poke a hole in the center, and pour the water inside. Before you roast your marshmallows, brush up on fire restrictions, proper safety. The higher you have a fire, the more it can be an issue. Now, when you're putting the fire out and you have the coals all centered and then you put your water in the middle, if you're camping with kids really dig it because it looks like a volcano. Also get an idea that way where the hot spots are. Spend hopefully about 45 minutes cleaning up the fire pit. Crush coals, all the stuff you need to do. First, sparked the biggest wildfire in Arizona history, the Wallow Fire, which burned more than 500,000 acres. It's the uneducated users that are starting the fires that cause the issues. It needs to be done correctly, or people can lose lives or property and everything. Remember, safety first. Having an open fire is often a key and enjoyable part of camping. Major. The smell of wood smoke and the pop and hiss of burning wood in a campfire brightens any night out in the woods, mountains, or beach. However, you want to make sure you control your fire and not the other way around. Before starting your fire, simply follow these steps. Know the local rules. Each park has their own rules on where and when you can have a campfire. Ask at the visitor center or contact the park before you visit so you know any relevant rules. Know the fire condition. Has it been windy and dry lately? That might mean campfires are banned or that other special rules or restrictions are in effect. Again, contact the park when you arrive or shortly before you visit to find out if there is a burn ban or other weather-related rules you need to know. Kinds of fires. This also helps knowing this. Not all campfires are the same. For some people, the idea of a campfire is two logs quietly burning in a fire ring, while for others, the same word means a 4-foot tall blazing pile of wood and brush. Different parks allow different sizes and types of fire. Don't assume a bonfire is going to be okay in a busy campground full of kids, RVs, and trees. Ask at the visitor center or find the campground host to see if specific areas are set aside for fires and if there are rules on the size of your blaze. And it is helpful to know how to make a fire. Before starting your campfire, take a look around your campsite to make sure your tent gear and any other flammable objects are at least 15 feet away and upwind of the fire pit. Wood that it comes from that area. You can either buy or collect it. Kindling and wood should be bought near the campground or collected from the area if the rules permit doing that. Keep in mind, this is not allowed in many national parks. Bringing wood from far away might also bring along pests that will flee your burning wood and potentially invade and cause problems in the new environment. Your fire. There's many ways to arrange your firewood before you start burning. Personally, I like to use the pyramid or the teepee style. Fire needs air to grow, so don't just stack your wood in a dense pile. One way to start is by laying larger pieces of wood in a crosshatch, making a small tower or teepee like I do. Then place plenty of kindling, dried leaves, small twigs, etc., and fire starter, whatever you're going to use, paraffin-soaked cotton balls, shredded paper, dry lint from your dryer works great as well. You can also take an egg carton and put sawmill wood in it, the fine shavings. That works really good. Put that in the gaps between the wood. Also remember that bark doesn't burn as well as the rest of the wood, so chopping your wood into thinner pieces to expose more of the interior will get your fire going faster. Use matches or a lighter on your fire starter to ignite it. It should then catch your kindling on fire, which should eventually catch your larger pieces of wood on fire. Using accelerants. Some people do use these. I personally don't like them for the most part. An accelerant is an extremely flammable liquid or mixture, like lighter fluid, that is used to speed up starting a fire. Use only lighter fluid to start a campfire. Never use any other accelerants like gasoline, as this can be super dangerous to you and others around you. Also, don't squirt lighter fluid onto embers or open flames, as this may lead to a quick flare-up and cause skin burns. When you stop at the visitor center, check to make sure it's okay to use chemical accelerants like lighter fluid. Keeping the fire burning. Fire might burn quite quickly if your firewood is extremely dry. Wetter wood will burn slower, but you don't want it too wet or it won't catch fire. Wet wood will smoke way more than dry wood. If you have extra firewood, keep it stacked upwind of your fire so that a sudden breeze won't light all the rest of your wood on fire. Keep the fire small so it stays under control. And once you have the fire burning, you want to be thinking about safety and keep it in mind while the fire is going, of course, too. Want to be close enough to toast marshmallows. Depending on the size of your fire and how windy it is, you might be able to sit right by it, or you might have to stand several feet away. Remember that synthetic clothing melts when it gets hot. Don't ruin your nice new fleece jacket by letting sparks blow on it from your campfire. Plan on cooking on the fire. Make sure you have cooking tools that are large enough so you have a safe distance between you and the fire. Look for cooking tools with insulated handles to avoid burns. Watch children and pets around campfire. It almost goes without saying. But if you are camping with kids or pets, keep an eye on them. Young children who haven't been around a campfire before might not be cautious about running near it, and pets aren't either necessarily. Drinking and burning. If the campground where you're staying allows alcoholic beverages, do not throw bottles or cans into the fire. Broken glass and half-melted aluminum will probably make the next camper pretty unhappy. Burning anything but wood, especially plastics, can also lead to toxic gases. Also keep in mind that your campground is a public space. Public intoxication is generally illegal, in addition to being pretty unsafe when you're tending to an open fire. Prepare for emergencies. Never leave a campfire unattended. Always keep water nearby when you have a campfire. Might have a sudden need to put it out, like if you have to go someplace or the weather changes, well, then you want to make sure that you have a way to get it out. Know what steps to take if someone is burned by sparks, hot cooking tools, or coals. Don't forget to stop, drop, and roll if any of your clothes catch on fire. Fire gets out of control, note your location and call 911 for assistance. If there's no cell service, contact the nearest park ranger or campground host to start the fire. And remember again, put out your fire entirely. All good things must come to an end, but if your campfire is too hot to touch, don't leave or go to sleep. Whitish or gray coals can retain heat for hours and hours. Clear up if the wind starts gusting. So even if you have no more open flames, spread out your coals as best you can. If you have water available, be sure to douse your fire and coals with plenty of water when you're ready to call it night. Don't have water, in a pinch, use sand and dirt. However, remember, don't simply kick sand or dirt in your fire. Sometimes that can insulate or bank the coals, keeping them hot even longer than if they remained exposed. So you want to spread the coals out with a poker or other device and then continually stir dirt and sand among the coals until they extinguish. Have fun, but stay safe. This was published August 9, 2014.
Smokey the Bear is entering his golden years, turning 70 years old today. He's evolved over the years and is even sending out selfies these days and blogging. But as ABC's Brandy Hitt tells us, his message remains the same.
Surprise! Today, Smokey the Bear is turning 70. and still going strong.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
As the symbol of wildfire prevention.
I already posted it.
Smokey the Bear. Coming a long way since 1944 when he was created so forests could be protected while firefighters served abroad. From hand-drawn posters to serious and sometimes scary television ads.
Remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
Always delivering his trademark line.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
And people have listened. Research showing 96% of Americans recognize Smokey, right up there with Santa Claus and Mickey Mouse. And he's become a much more modern bear, posting his first selfie on Facebook. Even Pharrell Williams making a fashion statement with his signature hat. Still determined to save the forest, Smokey is willing to douse his own birthday cake with water. Now showing a softer side at 70 with a big bear hug. Brandy Hitt, ABC News, Los Angeles.
I used to tell my patients that I was 2 weeks old when they first took me fishing. I caught the biggest fish, so they'd keep taking me back. I said, the first part's true, I'll let you decide about the second part. That's probably part of why I love being outside. For me, no place like nature.
Our skin was meant to feel the sun. Our legs were meant to travel. Our eyes were meant to see great things, to photograph them for our memories. We will not wait another day, for waiting is the opposite of living.
Summer passes by quickly, so my advice for anyone is if you get the chance, get out there and enjoy it. Colorado is a great place to go in the summer. Really enjoy being alive. Also, our state to study this time around, or at least to look at and have a little fun with, since we're doing alphabetical states, Colorado. I lived in Colorado from about the summer of 1973, or maybe a little later than the summer, to 1990, except for a few year intervals in the middle part of that. I definitely loved Colorado. One of the places that I have some very good memories of is Mosca, Colorado, not far from Alamosa. The Great Sand Dunes are there. I actually managed to climb to the top of the sand dunes. Of course, I was much younger then. The Great Sand Dunes National Park is where you'll find the tallest sand dunes in North America, surrounded by jagged mountain peaks approaching 14,000 feet high. There is Pinyon Flats Campground that is open year-round. Reservations are recommended from spring into the fall. I had the Great Sand Dunes National Park in my back window of my trailer that I lived in there. I also raised baby lambs there that had been kicked off from their mother and just loved the general area. I did, as I said, climb to the top of Great Sand Dunes. And I can tell you, climbing a mountain is much, much easier than climbing the Great Sand Dunes National Park. For every step you take forward, you take a half step backwards in that shifting, wandering sand. But, oh, I loved it. It was one great place to be. Colorado also has the Central Rockies that spread from the Front Range west to Glenwood Springs, south to Gunnison, and north to Steamboat Springs. They offer endless opportunities to explore the rugged scenery of high alpine scenic drives, hiking, mountaineering, winter sports, and the history of this great state. Enjoy the natural hot springs at Glenwood Springs, and oh, are they nice. The sheer beauty of the towns of Aspen and Gunnison, or start your winter ski adventure in and around the historic town of Breckenridge. It's a great place in the Central Rockies. I enjoyed that too. I took a train from Denver, and once I went to Grand Junction, and then the other time I went to Glenwood Springs. It was a great time. Both times my birth mom went with me, so I enjoyed that. Um, I loved the natural hot springs at Glenwood. It was nice. They had a swimming pool there, but I think I liked Indian Springs or Idaho Springs better because they had a nice swimming pool and baths as well. Uh, but definitely, it's a great place, and taking a train ride is just so awesome because you see so much of the backwoods of Colorado, which is something that you wouldn't see on the highway. One of the great memories, backing up a little bit, that I have of the Great Sands Dunes National Park is when my birth mom was alive. She and I went to the Great Sand Dunes. I was sharing them with her, and I had a deer that came up to me and literally ate out of my hand. My mother was just in awe and wonder at that, but the animals there seem to be tamer than many places that I'd been to. And there's White River National Forest, beautiful place. View the birthplace of wilderness, the Maroon Bells, as well as iconic ski resorts like Vail and Aspen. The White River National Forest offers numerous camping options that can be reserved in advance. And I spent a summer at Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forest. I actually camped out one summer in Arapahoe, and it was great. Drive the Mount Evans Scenic Byway, hike Grays and Torrey's Peak, or recreate in Summit County. Check out our list of reservable campsites in the Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forest. Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park. Big enough to be overwhelming, still intimate enough to feel the pulse of time. Black Canyon of the Gunnison exposes you to some of the steepest cliffs, oldest rocks, and craggiest spires in North America. The South Rim Campground is open year-round. Your Canteen National Recreation Area is a series of 3 reservoirs along the once wild Gunnison River. The reservoirs that make up this area today are a destination for water-based recreation high in the Rocky Mountains. Best known for salmon and trout fishing, this area also offers opportunities for hiking, boating, camping, and birding. Southwest Colorado. Explore the historic mining towns of Durango, Telluride, Ouray, and Silverton on a journey through time. Awe-inspiring scenery, outdoor adventures, music festivals, winter sports, lodging, and dining can be found throughout this spectacular corner of the state. And be sure to visit the Southern Ute Indian Reservation for exciting activities as a look into the Southwest Nation Native American influence. America's newest national monument is also a place of unparalleled natural beauty. On a high mesa at the southern edge of the Sand Mountains, the site protects an ancestral Puebloan community inhabited 1,000 years ago. To help you plan your trip to Chimney Rock, read our Spotlight on Chimney Rock National Monument. And remember that the surrounding San Juan National Forest also has miles and miles of hiking, mountain bike riding, and scenic driving. And of course, no mention of Colorado would ever be even any place near complete if Mesa Verde National Park wasn't brought up. What a great place this is. It offers guided tours to historic cliff dwellings once inhabited by the ancestral Pueblo people. You can go for guided tours into the spectacular backcountry here. If you've not seen this, I highly recommend it. It's not far either from Four Corners. The Western Slope, mesas, monuments, memories. The Western Slope is the area of Colorado from Montrose north to the Wyoming border. The city of Grand Junction is a great starting point to explore western Colorado, where the Rocky Mountains give way to the Red Rock country to the west. Enjoy alpine scenery and the eastern edge of the vast Colorado Plateau. The Grand Valley is also where you will find Colorado's little-known wine country. Colorado National Monument preserves one of the greatest landscapes of the American West. But this treasure is much more than a monument. Towering monoliths exist within a vast plateau and canyon panorama. Grand Mesa Scenic and Historic Byway is a playground in the sky that climbs from the rugged plateau canyon floor to the cool evergreen mesa forest, 11,000 feet up. Featured are hundreds of sparkling lakes, wildflower meadows, and forests of shimmering aspen and pine. Take a side trip to Land's End Overlook, where the Grand Valley unfolds below. You can also go there during the summer season for camping. Gunnison Gorge National Landscape Conservation Area. Great place to go to hike and to fish and raft. Grand Mesa and Gunnison National Park. The Grand Mesa and Gunnison National Forest are a combination of separate national forests located on the western slope of the Colorado Rockies. These three combined forests cover much public land in the central and southern Rocky Mountains, an area that lies south of the Colorado River and west of the Continental Divide. If you don't know what the Continental Divide is, it's very interesting. One way, the waters flow to the west. The other way, the waters flow to the east. There is some of the most spectacular scenery in the Rockies there. Absolutely gorgeous. There's many campgrounds available too. Dinosaur National Monument provides visitors with a look back in time. Dinosaurs once roamed here. An outstanding variety of recreation. Today, fossil remains of dinosaurs are still visible in the rocks enclosed within the Quarry Exhibit Hall. Outside, the mountains, desert, and untamed rivers that flow within the monument's deep canyons support an array of life. A fun place to camp. Of course, all of Colorado is a fun place to camp for the most part. Before we need to stop and pay bills, I want to make sure and give a shout out to Dave, my son, and family out there in Colorado. And hope you're having a great day today. It's wonderful to be able to say hi to you from our radio station. Things going great there. We plan on seeing you this summer. Hot fudge sauce for one of the two ice creams that I'll give you. And this homemade hot fudge sauce ingredients are 1/2 cup white sugar, 1/3 cup light corn syrup, 1/2 cup water, 6 heaping tablespoons unsweetened cocoa powder, pinch of table or sea salt, 3/4 teaspoon vanilla extract. For instructions, 1. Whisk together the sugar, corn syrup, water, cocoa powder, and salt in a medium saucepan. 2. Continue to constantly whisk over medium heat until mixture starts to bubble and then comes to a low boil. 3. Once at a low boil, allow mixture to cook for 1 minute, whisking thoroughly every 15 seconds or so. 4. After 1 minute, remove the pan from heat and stir in the vanilla. 5. Let mixture cool a few minutes to thicken more if desired, or let cool in the fridge before using in an ice cream recipe. 6. Hot fudge sauce can be stored for up to 2 weeks in a refrigerated covered container. Okay, now to go to the homemade ice cream. Yum. Okay, so this is the homemade vanilla fudge swirl ice cream without an ice cream maker. 2 cups heavy whipping cream cold, 1 tablespoon vanilla extract, and 1 14-ounce can sweetened condensed milk, 1 cup hot fudge. Instructions. 1. Place cream and vanilla into large bowl or bowl of stand mixer and whisk or mix until stiff peaks form. Using a cold bowl, whisk cream will help you cream whip faster. 2. Once you have whipped cream, pour the sweetened condensed milk over the top and gently fold it into whipped cream. 3. Pour mixture into a 2-quart freezer-safe container and cover. For this flavor, I like to use a wide container versus a deep container to make swirling in the hot fudge easier later on. 4. Freeze for at least 2 to 3 hours. The goal is to have partially frozen ice cream so that you can swirl in the fudge without making chocolate ice cream, yet not have the ice cream be so hard that it is impossible to swirl in. 5. Once partially frozen, remove from freezer and pour thick long ribbons of fudge over the ice cream about 1/2 inch apart. 6. Using a knife or chopstick, swirl the hot fudge into the ice cream in figure 8 motions. You don't want to stir it in or you won't really have swirls. Make sure to take the knife or chopstick all the way to the bottom of the container. 7. Replace, cover, and freeze for an additional 3+ hours or until fully frozen. 8. Once frozen, scoop and enjoy. Note that this ice cream should not get rock hard unless your freezer is very cold and thus shouldn't need to set at room temperature long, if at all, to scoop. Leftovers may be kept in the covered container and frozen. And then you can make regular vanilla ice cream by just deleting the hot fudge sundae. Colorado doesn't have the grizzly bears, but they do have the black bears. It seems like some black bears wanted to make their presence known, maybe join a race with some humans. Runners in a Colorado race received some incentive to run extra fast when they were joined in the road by a black bear. Participants in the Gardens of the Gods 10-mile run Sunday in the Colorado Springs area said the bear appeared at the side of the road before running out in front of a group of runners. There weren't any injuries, other than to distracted runners' final times, that is. It's time to get the checkbook out again.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 8687.
Time to get the checkbook out again.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
Okay, some interesting facts about Colorado. Beulah Red is the name of the red marble that gives the Colorado state capitol its distinctive splendor. Cutting, polishing, and installing the marble in the capitol took 6 years, from 1894 to 1900. All of the Beulah Red marble in the world went into the capitol. It cannot be replaced at any price. 2. Colorado is the only state in history to turn down the Olympics. In 1976, the Winter Olympics were planned to be held in Denver. 62 of all state voters chose at almost the last minute not to host the Olympics because of the cost, pollution, and population boom it would have on the state of Colorado and the city of Denver. 3. The United States Air Force Academy is located in Colorado Springs. 4. The world's largest flat-top mountain is in Grand Mesa. 5. In Fruita, the townfolk celebrate Mike the Headless Chicken Day. Seems that a farmer named L.A. Olson cut off Mike's head on September 10, 1945 in anticipation of a chicken dinner, and Mike lived for another 4 years without a head. 6. The Low-Do region of Denver stands for Lower Downtown. 7. Denver lays claim to the invention of the cheeseburger. The trademark for the name cheeseburger was awarded in 1935 to Lois Ballast. 8. The highest paved road in North America is the road to Mount Evans off of 170 from Idaho Springs. The road climbs up to 14,258 feet above sea level. 9. Colorado means colored red and is known as the Centennial State. 10. The Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad continues to provide year-round train service, operating a historical train with rolling stock indigenous to the line. The line was constructed primarily to haul mine ores, both gold and silver, from the San Juan Mountains. 11. The United States federal government owns more than one-third of the land in Colorado. 12. Colorado contains 75% of the land area of the U.S. with an altitude over 10,000 feet. 13. Colorado has 222 state wildlife areas. 14. Colfax Avenue in Denver is the longest continuous street in America. 15. The 13th step of the state capitol building in Denver is exactly 1 mile high above sea level. 16. The Dwight Eisenhower Memorial Tunnel between Clear Creek and Summit counties is the highest auto tunnel in the world. Bored at an elevation of 11,000 feet under the Continental Divide, it is 8,960 feet long, and the average daily traffic exceeds 26,000 vehicles. 17. Leadville is the highest incorporated city in the United States at 10,430 feet elevation. Because there was lots of silver named towns at the time, the founding fathers suggested Leadville. 18. Catherine Lee Bates wrote America the Beautiful after being inspired by the view from Pikes Peak. 19. Hundreds of thousands of valentines are remailed each year from Loveland. 20. Fountain has the distinction of being the United States Millennium City because it best symbolizes the overall composition of America. Fountain is the most accurate representation of the American melting pot. Fountain was chosen after a Queens College socialist crunched Census Bureau statistics in an effort to find the one city in the country that best represented the population makeup of the United States. 21. Pueblo is the only city in America with 4 living recipients of the Medal of Honor. 24. The tallest building in Colorado is the Republic Plaza at 15th High in Denver. Every year, Denver hosts the world's largest rodeo, the Western Stock Show. Denver has the largest city park system in the nation with 205 parks and city limits and 20,000 acres of parks in the nearby mountains. 25. Dove Creek is the pinto bean capital of the world. 26. The tallest sand dune in America is in Great Sand Dunes National Monument outside of Alamosa. This bizarre 46,000-acre landscape of 700 feet sand peaks was the creation of ocean waters and winds more than 1 million years ago. 27. The world's first rodeo was held on July 4th, 1869 in Deer Trail. 28. Lieutenant Zebulon Montgomery Pike explored the southwest portion of the Louisiana Territory in 1806 and though he never climbed the peak that bears his name, he did publish a report that attracted a lot of interest to the area. 29. The slogan of Pike's Peak or Bust, painted across many of the prairie scullers, was born at a time as fortune hunters headed west, although only a handful of those who flocked to the region ever found gold. 14,110 feet above sea level, over 400,000 people ascend Pikes Peak each. 31. The aptly named town of Twin Lakes lays adjacent to natural lakes at the foot of Colorado's highest 14er, Mr. Albert. 32. The Colorado Rockies are part of the North American Lyra, which stretches 3,000 miles from Alaska through western and the United States into northern Mexico. The centerpiece of this dramatic uplift are the peaks under 14,000 or 14ers, as they are affectionately referred to by customers. There are 42 49ers Keeners in Colorado. Rocky Ford has been added. 32. The Colorado Rockies are part of the North American Cordillera, which stretches 3,000 miles from Alaska through western Canada and the U.S. into northern Mexico. The centerpieces of this dramatic uplift are the peaks 1,000 feet, or 14ers, as they are affectionately referred to by climbers. There are 15 14ers in Colorado. Rocky Ford has been dubbed the melon capital of the world. Yampa River below the northwest crag holds northern peak, the 20-pound range, while the Roaring River and Frying Pan rivers are prime spots for trout fishing. 35. Colorado has the highest mean altitude of all the states. 6. Mesa Verde features an elaborate four-story city carved in the cliffs by the ancestral Pueblo people between 600 and 1300. Mystery surrounding this ancient culture mark is the sudden disappearance of the tens thousands of inhabitants who created the more than 4,000 identified structures. Colorado has more microbrewers per capita than Kit Carson County. Carousel in Burlington dates back to 1905, making it the oldest wooden merry-go-round in the U.S. It is the only wooden carousel in America still with its original paint. Oregon and Silverton Narrow Gauge Road has been in continuous operation since 1881 and has appeared in more than a dozen movies, including How the West Was Won, 1963, and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. We're not going to have enough time tonight to get through everything I had planned for us, but that's okay. We'll pick it up next week. And by the way, do you remember how to contact me? Let's do some military highlights. Okay. Oh, did you hear about President Donald Trump signing into law the Department of Veterans Affairs Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act of 2017? It makes a number of changes to Department of Veterans Affairs authorities related to personnel accountability and whistleblower protections. In other words, this law is basically just stating that if someone sees something that's happening at the VA that shouldn't be happening, they cannot be held accountable, and the whistleblower protection will cover them. VA now has the flexibility to hire qualified healthcare executives as quickly as possible to lead its key healthcare organizations without going through a previously cumbersome and time-consuming hiring process. Being able quickly to hire skilled executives to lead our medical centers and networks is a powerful tool to ensuring the best leadership being put in place, said VA Secretary Dr. David Shulkin. Leaders establish the vision for our thousands of employees who are doing their best to serve our nation's veterans. They also ensure accountability for those employees who do not deliver the care our veterans deserve. And a few other headlines. VA encourages qualified candidates for medical center or network director positions to apply immediately by contacting the VHA Virtual Recruitment Center, gives a phone number, or by visiting the VA Careers. Next is VA announces plan to dispose of or reuse all its vacant buildings in 24 months. Then, move projected to save taxpayers millions annually. Washington finally threw on a key promise from less than a month ago. Department of Veterans Affairs Secretary David Shulkin today announced a plan to dispose of all vacant VA buildings in 24 months. And Dr. Shulkin had raised the vacant building issue as a priority in his State of the VA address delivered at the White House on May 31st. Nationwide, VA currently has 430 vacant or mostly vacant buildings that are on average more than 60 years old and cost taxpayers more than $7 million per year to maintain. Today, Dr. Shulkin announced that of those 430 buildings, VA has been disposal or reuse processes on 71 of the remaining 359 buildings. Dr. Shulkin announced VA will begin disposal or reuse process on another 71 in the next 6 months and plans to initiate disposal of the final 288 vacant buildings within 24 months. We owe it to the American taxpayer to apply as much of our funding as possible to helping veterans, said Dr. Shulkin. Maintaining vacant buildings, including close to 100 from the Revolutionary War and Civil War, makes no sense, and we're working at quickly establishing as possible to get them out of our inventory. The Secretary also announced that VA will review another 784 new non-vacant but underutilized buildings to determine if additional efficiencies can be identified to be reinvested in veteran services. Finally, in addition to the building closure, Dr. Shulkin announced today that the Veteran Benefits Administration is freezing its footprint and will maximize space management by leasing or eliminating office space nationwide, thanks to a robust network program and the digitization of claim files. VA estimates these. Another bear! Yikes! This one was reported in Roxborough Village near Roxborough Intermediate School. The bear is currently in a tree and will hopefully leave the area when it feels it is safe to do so. Colorado Parks and Wildlife states that they were aware of the bear and they'll be monitoring it. The bear does come down, and if it does become a threat to the community, they phone number, and also gave a number in case of an emergency. Yeah, what's going on with those bears in Colorado? They must be wanting to meet people more. By the way, it wasn't mentioned earlier, but Colorado is the 38th state and was admitted to statehood August 1st, 1876. Okay, moving on here. Whichever side of the issue you're on. Now, this one may be a little touchy for some. This is regarding equality. Arkansas cannot refuse to list both names of same-sex married parents on a baby's birth certificate just because one of them is not a biological parent, the Supreme Court ruled Monday in a decision that suggests the extent to which the justices will push their 2015 decision on same-sex marriage equality. Arkansas had resisted, arguing that the birth certificate was a record of parentage for the child rather than a document about the marriage. But the High Court rejected that argument, saying that in situations where a child is conceived from an anonymous sperm donor, the mother's husband is still required to be listed. Applying that same accommodation to same-sex couples violates the 2015 Obergefell ruling that established a national right to same-sex marriages. The state uses those certificates to give married parents a form of legal recognition that is not available to unmarried parents. Having made that choice, Arkansas may not, consistent with Obergefell, deny married same-sex couples that recognition, the courts. The justice's decision reversed a state high court ruling. New Justice Neil M. Gorsuch wrote a dissent saying he wouldn't have been so quick to overturn the state court and invalidate the law, saying the state had reasons for the biological parents to be listed on a birth certificate. Justice Gorsuch said that at the very least, the High Court should have given the case a more thorough. His dissent was joined by Justice Clarence Thomas and Samuel A. Alito Jr. That many justices, beginning, I just wonder if this is the last we've heard of this issue. And according to some, the most controversial policy of Trump's of all. The Supreme Court said Monday that most of President Trump's travel ban executive order can go into effect, delivering the first major victory to the new administration on perhaps his most controversial policy to date. Justices said the lower court rulings that blocked Mr. Trump's policy were far too broad and said the president can begin to enforce his ban against foreigners who don't already have some ties to the U.S. That means the president can begin denying visas visitors from 6 countries, those 6 countries being Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. Don't already have families in the U.S. or some other prior connection, such as participation in an education program. Mr. Trump is also free to halt refugee admissions worldwide, with the same exception for people who already have a connection to the U.S. The justices said Mr. Trump is at the peak of his powers when acting on national security concerns in immigration matters when dealing with people who don't already have a tie to the U.S. The court's ruling was issued in an unsigned, unanimous opinion, though Justice Clarence Thomas, Samuel A. Alito Jr., and Neil M. Gorsuch said they would have gone further and lifted the entire injunctions. The court scheduled the broader case as part of its next session that begins in October, but pointedly suggesting Mr. Trump may have concluded his broader review of U.S. visa policies by then, so there shouldn't be a need to hear the case at all. Well, most of us have probably just woke up, so it's a good time to talk about good quality sleep. The National Sleep Foundation recently released the key indicators of good sleep quality as established by a panel of experts. So, the key findings are timely and relevant. This information complements the data that these devices provide, helping millions of consumers interpret their report comes as the first step in the National Sleep Foundation's effort to spearhead defining the key indicators of good sleep quality. The key determinants of quality sleep are included in a report published in Sleep Health. They include sleeping more time while in bed, at least 85% of the time, falling asleep in 30 minutes or less, and waking up no more than once per night, and being awake for 20 minutes or less after initially falling asleep. Multiple rounds of consensus voting on the determinants led to the key findings, which have since been endorsed by the American Association of Anatomists, American Academy of Neurology, American Physiology Society, Gerontological Society of America, Human Anatomy and Physiology Society, Society for Research on Biological Rhythms, and Society for Research of Human Development, and Society for Women's Health Research. Max Hershkowitz, PhD, DABSM, chairman of the board of directors of the National State Foundation, stated millions of Americans are sleep technology users. These devices provide a glimpse into one's sleep universe, which is otherwise unknown. The National Sleep Foundation's guidelines on sleep duration and now quality make sense of it all, providing consumers with the resources needed to understand their sleep. These efforts help to make sleep science and technology more accessible to the general public that is eager to learn more about its health in bold new ways. In the past, we defined sleep by its negative outcomes, including sleep dissatisfaction, which were useful for identifying underlying pathology. Clearly, this is not the whole story. With this initiative, we are now on a better course towards defining sleep health, noted Maurice Ohayon, MD, director of the Stanford Sleep Epidemiology Research Center. To learn more about the results of the report, visit sleephealthjournal.org. To learn more about NSF's effort in sleep technology, you can go to the NSF Sleep Tech webpage. About the National Sleep Foundation. The National Sleep Foundation is dedicated to improving health and well-being through sleep education and advocacy. Founded in 1990 by the leaders in sleep medicine, National Sleep Foundation is a trusted resource for sleep health and science to patients with sleep problems as well as the general public. Other than to distracted runners' final times, that is. It's time to get the checkbook out again.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
And surely you've all heard of circadian rhythms. So, what are circadian rhythms? Well, they're physical, mental, and behavioral changes that follow a roughly 24-hour cycle, responding primarily to light and darkness in an organism's environment. They are found in most living things, including animals, plants, and many tiny microbes. The study of circadian rhythms is called chronobiology. Are circadian rhythms the same thing as biological clocks? No, but they are related. Our biological clocks drive our circadian rhythms. What are biological clocks? Biological clocks that counter circadian rhythms are groupings of interacting molecules and cells throughout the body. A master clock in the brain coordinates all the body clocks so that they are in sync. Tick, 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 so they're running in sync. What is a master clock? The master clock that controls circadian rhythm consists of a group of nerve cells in the brain called the supraplasmatic nucleus, or SCN. The SCN contains 20,000 nerve cells and is located in the hypothalamus, an area of the brain just above where the optic nerves from the eyes cross. Circadian rhythms have a genetic component. Yes, researchers have already identified genes that direct circadian rhythms in people, fruit, flies, mice, fungi, and several other model organisms used for studying genetics. Does the body make and keep its own circadian rhythms? Circadian rhythms are produced by natural forces within the body, but they are also affected by signals from the environment. Light is the main cue influencing circadian rhythms, turning on or turning off genes that control an organism's internal clock. How does circadian rhythm affect body function and health? Circadian rhythms can influence sleep-wake cycles, hormone release, body temperature, and other important bodily functions. They have been linked to various sleep disorders such as insomnia. Abnormal circadian rhythms have also been associated with obesity, diabetes, depression, bipolar disorder, and seasonal affective disorder. How are circadian rhythms related to sleep? Circadian rhythms are important in determining human sleep patterns. The body's master clock, or SCN, controls the production of melatonin, a hormone that makes you sleepy. Since it's located just above the optic nerves, which relay information from the eyes to the brain, the SCN receives information about incoming light. When there is less light, like at night, the SCN tells the brain to make more melatonin so you get drowsy. Circadian rhythms related to jet lag. Jet lag occurs when travelers suffer from disrupted circadian rhythms. When you pass through different time zones, your body's clock will be different from your wristwatch. For example, if you fly in an airplane from California to New York, you will lose 3 hours of time. So when you wake up at 7 a.m., your body still thinks it's 4 a.m., making you feel groggy and disoriented. Your body's clock will eventually reset itself, but this often takes a few days. How do researchers study circadian rhythms? Scientists can learn about circadian rhythms by studying humans or by using model organisms that have similar clock genes. Basic researchers doing these experiments can control the subject's environment by altering light and dark periods and then look for changes in gene activity or other molecular signals. How does circadian rhythm research contribute to human health? Understanding what makes biological clocks tick may lead researchers to treatments for sleep disorders, jet lag, and other health problems. Learning more about the genes responsible for circadian rhythms will also enhance our understanding of biological systems in the human body. NIGMS is a part of the National Institute of Health that supports basic research to increase our understanding of biological processes and lay the foundation for advances in disease diagnosis, treatment, and prevention. For more information on the Institute's research and training programs, see http://www.nigms.nih.gov. National Sleep Foundation Expert Consensus Panel concludes that missing a night of sleep renders drivers unfit to operate a motor vehicle. Washington, D.C., May 10, 2016. The National Sleep Foundation today published the conclusions of its Drowsy Driving Consensus Panel in the June 2016 online edition of its award-winning journal Sleep Health. The publication marks the first scientific expert consensus determination that it is unsafe to operate a motor vehicle when sleep deprived. The panel concluded individuals who have slept less than 2 hours in the prior 24 hours are too sleep deprived to get behind the wheel of a vehicle. Members of the NSF convened expert panel further agreed that most healthy drivers would likely be impaired with only 3 to 5 hours of sleep during the prior 24 hours. The National Sleep Foundation Drowsy Driving Consensus Statement gives public policy makers a clear direction on which vehicle operators should be considered too sleep deprived to drive and are therefore impaired, said David Cloud, CEO of the National Sleep Foundation. We believe this simple definition for drowsy driving will serve as a powerful tool to help policymakers create safer roads and drivers to make sound decisions. The publication and definition are the result of a systematic literature review by a panel of experts from sleep, transportation, and medicine, followed by consensus building and voting. The consensus statement has been endorsed by the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety, the American College of Chest Physicians, the American College of Occupational and Environmental Medicine, and the Society for Research on Biological Rhythms. Sleep-deprived drivers can cause more than 6,400 deaths and 50,000 debilitating injuries on American roadways each year. This study represents the first expert consensus determination available to guide those attempting to reduce the risk of those preventable tragedies through legislation and public policies, said Charles A. Chesler, chair of the consensus panel and chief division of sleep and circadian disorders at Brigham and Women's Hospital. The drowsy driving consensus statement will be featured in the June 2016 print edition of NSF's Sleep Health Journal and is now available online at www.sleephealthjournal.org. Drowsy driving definition was first announced during Drowsy Driving Prevention Week 2015, NSF's annual campaign to educate the public about the underreported risk of drowsy driving and to improve safety on the road. National Sleep Foundation Sleep Health Journal wins Pros Award for Best New Journal. The National Sleep Award Foundation is proud to announce that Sleep Health Journal of the National Sleep Foundation is a 2016 winner of the Association of American Publishers Award for Best New Journal in Science, Technology, and Medicine. Sleep Health was also a finalist for the 2016 Excellence in Biological and Life Sciences Award. Winning the Best New Journal Award is wonderful recognition of the important work of sleep health, says National Sleep Foundation CEO David M. Cloud. We believe there was a need for a journal that would extend sleep research across many diverse related fields. It's great to know our peers agree. The National Sleep Foundation launched Sleep Health in March 2015 as a multidisciplinary journal exploring sleep's role in population health. Aligned with National Sleep Foundation's Global Authority evidence-based voice for sleep health, the journal serves as the foremost publication for manuscripts that advance the sleep health of all members of societies. Did you know that getting too much sleep could be just about as bad as not getting enough sleep? Most people are surprised when they hear that. Well, of course, we know that getting too much sleep isn't. No, really, that can't be bad. Actually, you'd be surprised. Michael Irwin, doctor at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA, says that sleeping too much can also cause disease. That's because long sleep, which he defines as more than 8 hours, is usually poor sleep. Sleeping more than 8 hours a night increases your chance of dying from it by 34%. Women are more prone to sleeping longer than men, which puts them at the highest risk of developing heart problems. Diabetes could become an issue. Doctors agree. Quality sleep is critical and crucial for your health. Not only do you need to stay focused and alert during the day, but it helps your body recharge and recover from wear and tear and might lower your risk of everything from obesity and diabetes to premature death. But can you have too much of a good thing? Definitely, says experts. Individuals who sleep more than 10 hours per day generally have worse health profiles than those who sleep 7 to 8 hours, says Susan Redlin, MD, MPH professor of sleep medicine at Harvard and senior physician in the Division of Sleep and Circadian Disorders at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. Nearly 30% of adults in the U.S. are in this group of long sleepers. Logging lots of shut-eye becomes more common as you get older, and it's not entirely clear whether it's a sign that you have a disease or if it can actually make you sick. Dominant opinion is that long sleep is a marker for underlying health problems, says Redline. But Michael Irwin, MD, professor of psychiatry and biobehavioral sciences at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA, says that sleeping too much can also cause disease. That's because long sleep, which he defines as more than 8 hours, is usually poor sleep. What we're really looking at is a group of people who are spending a long time in bed, says Irwin, who notes that these individuals might not be soundly asleep the whole time. The bottom line, sleeping too much could turn out to be just as damaging as sleeping too little. Here are the few of the problems you might face if you regularly overdo it. Feel better starting today with Rodell's The Thyroid Cure, a book that's helped thousands of people finally solve the mystery of what's ailing them. Okay, so you heard of a book, at least in this broadcast. Okay, if you get too much sleep, you're at higher risk of heart disease. Snooze a ton, you lose, at least when it comes to heart health. Heart disease is already the number one cause of death in the U.S., and sleeping more than 8 hours a night increases your chances of dying from it by 34%. Women are more prone to sleeping longer than men, which puts them at the highest risk of developing heart problems. You're more likely to struggle with weight. Many studies show that people who don't sleep enough tend to be heavier, but there's also a link between excess sleep and obesity. So it's not a simple cause and effect, says Irwin. Definitely a connection. What we do know is that as people get more obese, they're likely to be long sleepers. And if you're a long sleeper, you're more likely to be obese. One theory is that too much sleep translates to too little exercise. Long sleepers have shorter periods available when they can be active, says. In other words, the more you sleep, the less you move, and the fewer calories you burn. You may develop diabetes. Too much sleep can raise your blood sugar levels, as can skimping on sleep. That's not the kind of sweet dreams you want. High blood glucose can increase the risk of getting type 2 diabetes. Chronic long sleeping can age your brain by as much as 2 years and make it difficult to perform everyday tasks, according to research published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society. Irwin says the fact that long sleepers tend to have trouble with basic mental functioning may have to do with how often they wake during the night. If you're getting up too frequently, you might not be getting enough of the deep restorative sleep. Your brain gets fuzzier. Can't concentrate? Blame your time between the sheets. Chronic long sleeping can age your brain by as much as 2 years and make it difficult to perform everyday tasks, according to research published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society. Irwin says the fact that long sleepers tend to have trouble with basic mental functioning may have to do with how often they wake during the night. If you're getting up too frequently, you might not be getting enough of the deep restorative sleep. You're at risk of dying early. It's scary but true. Large-scale epidemiologic studies have shown that people who sleep longer are more likely to die prematurely. No one knows exactly why, but inflammation probably plays an important role, says Irwin. Plus, you're more likely to expire at a younger age if you have problems like diabetes and heart disease, which are tied to too much or too little sleep. Your mood can suffer. Depression and sleep go hand in hand, but it's a chicken and egg situation. Often, says Irwin, people with certain types of depression sleep longer, and longer sleep can make depression worse. It's important to note that feeling blah may be temporary, and not everyone who gets too much sleep and feels lousy is clinically depressed. In some cases, shortening your snoozes may be enough to lift your spirits, says Irwin. So, if you can up trouble if you sleep too much or you don't sleep enough, just how much sleep do you need? Well, your need for sleep and your sleep patterns change as you age, but this varies significantly across individuals of the same age. There is no magic number of sleep hours that works for everybody of the same age. Babies initially sleep how long? Oh, about 16 to 18 hours a day, which may boost growth and development, especially of the brain. School-age little ones and teens on average need about 9.5 hours of sleep per night. Most adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, but after age 60, nighttime sleep tends to be shorter, lighter, and interrupted by multiple awakenings. Elderly people are also more likely to take medications that interfere with sleep. In general, people are getting less sleep than they need due to longer work hours and the availability of round-the-clock entertainment and other activities. Many people feel they can catch up on missed sleep during the weekend, but depending on how sleep deprived they are, sleeping longer on the weekends just might not be enough at all. There are several parts of the brain that are functioning when one is sleeping. In fact, it's quite complex. However, it's not quite so hard to understand the stages of sleep. There are two basic types of sleep. One is called REM, which is rapid eye movement sleep, and one is non-REM sleep, which has three different stages. But just remember that REM is the rapid eye movement sleep. Okay, so you have REM and you have non-REM. Each of these is linked to specific brain waves and nerve activity. You cycle through all stages of non-REM and REM sleep several times during a typical night, with increasingly longer, deeper REM periods occurring toward morning. Stage 1, non-REM sleep, is the changeover from wakefulness to sleep. During this short period, lasting several minutes, hopefully, of relatively light sleep, your heartbeat, breathing, and eye movements slow, and your muscles relax with occasional twitches. Your brain waves begin to slow from their daytime wakefulness patterns. Stage 2. Non-REM sleep is a period of light sleep before you enter deeper sleep. Your heartbeat and breathing slow, and muscles relax even further. Your body temperature drops and eye movements stop. Brainwave activity slows, but is marked by brief bursts of electrical activity. And more of your repeated sleep stages and sleep cycles in stage 2 sleep than in any other sleep stage. Stage 3. Non-REM sleep is the period of deep sleep that you need to feel refreshed in the morning. It occurs in longer periods during the first half of the night. Your heartbeat and breathing slow to their lowest levels during sleep. Muscles are relaxed and it may be difficult to awaken you. Brain waves become even slower. REM sleep first occurs about 90 minutes after falling asleep. Your eyes move rapidly from side to side behind closed eyelids. Mixed frequency brain wave activity becomes closer to that seen in wakefulness. Your breathing becomes faster and irregular, and your heart rate and blood pressure increase to near waking levels. Most of your dreaming occurs during REM sleep, although some can also occur in non-REM sleep. Your arm and leg muscles become temporarily paralyzed, which prevents you from acting out your dreams. As you age, you sleep less of your time in REM sleep. Memory consolidation most likely requires both non-REM and REM sleep. And sleep mechanisms, two internal biological mechanisms. We talked about the circadian rhythm and also homeostasis work together to regulate when you are awake and sleep. As we talked about, circadian rhythms direct a wide variety of functions from daily fluctuations in wakefulness to body temperature, metabolism, and the release of hormones. They control your timing of sleep and cause you to be sleepy at night and your tendency to wake in the morning without an alarm. Your body's biological clock, which is based on a roughly 24-hour day, controls most circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms synchronize with environmental cues, light and temperature, about the actual time of day, but they continue even in the absence of cues. Sleep-wake homeostasis keeps track of your need for sleep. The homeostatic sleep drive reminds the body to sleep after a certain time and regulates sleep intensity. The sleep drive gets stronger every hour you're awake and causes you to sleep longer and more deeply after a period of sleep deprivation. Factors that influence your sleep-wake needs include medical conditions, medications, stress, sleep environment, and what you eat and drink. Perhaps the greatest influence is the exposure to light. Specialized cells in the retinas of your eyes process light and tell the brain whether it is day or night and can advance or delay our sleep-wake cycle. Exposure to light can make it difficult to fall asleep and return to sleep when awakened. Night shift workers often have trouble falling asleep when they go to bed and also have trouble staying awake at work because their natural circadian rhythm and sleep-wake cycle is disrupted. In the case of jet lag, circadian rhythms become out of sync with the time of day when people fly to a different time zone, creating a mismatch between their internal clock and the actual clock. So, next time we talk, it may not be immediately, but we'll cover some of the issues with what we do about them. Remember, I'm going to be waiting this week to hear from you. How do you contact me again? Oh, it's not too hard. You can go to Flo at KLRNRadio.com and no dash between KLRN and radio. So it's Flo at KLRNRadio.com. Or you can find me on Twitter and my handle is Flobo. So I'll be looking for you. Remember, you can contact me at Twitter. My handle is Flobo, or you can email me at flo@KLRNradio, that has no spaces in between it, .com. So that's flo@KLRNradio.com with no spaces in KLRN and radio, please. Thank you much. Margaret Mead said, "You are unique, just like everyone else." Wow. I say, remember to laugh. Laughter is God's sunshine. So that's really important.
Warm thoughts can make the sun a little brighter, the sky a little bluer, and the world a little nicer. Indeed, that is so and always will be so. Have a great day.
Hey, that's pretty good.
I'm really looking forward to next week. We're going to talk about a lot of fun subjects, including more on some current events and all kinds of goodies. See you then.